Hello and welcome to another video, and today, as you can see by the title and thumbnail, we are looking at the first MotoGP 20 gameplay. So it's finally been released to us, and a bit like I did last year, I'm going to have a bit of a look at it, a bit of a breakdown, so I'll be pausing at a certain point. So I'll leave a link to the description if you want to watch it without me talking over it, and I probably will be uploading a comparison between 2019 and 2020 MotoGP games. Almost at the, well, I did say the wrong year there for a second, but yeah, we'll start playing. I have already watched the video, so it's not sort of a live reaction this time. So we'll have a first pause of the game, because we'll sort of look at the UI first, probably the first thing to mention having a look at. So it's changed dramatically, especially in the bottom right hand corner. Obviously last year they added the anti-wheelie system, which wasn't the anti-wheelie and the braking system. Actually, it was I think it was just traction control before. I'm sure it was just traction control before that. So they added the anti-wheelie in the EBS, which is the engine braking. But it seems there's another setting here, which is power. Now, if you didn't know already, because I think I've actually forgot to mention in my other videos, they are actually adding fuel consumption to the game. So I'm guessing the power is probably going to be linked some way to the fuel consumption. So you probably have to turn your power up and down depending on the fuel. Obviously the tyre wear graphic seems to be a bit different. So actually now it looks like you've got, well, there's like two tyre shaped, so it's sort of a tyre on the front. It seems to be split up into three. If I look at it, so you can see there's a line here and a line here, so it's 1, 2, 3. So perhaps now they've actually gone to the point where certain parts of your tyre will become more heated, which is obviously what we want, more realism, as long as it's implemented correctly, of course. That would be the main thing. And then obviously the presentation of it's just sort of totally different. It's black and obviously transparent. You can press Y to swap to something else as well, it seems. I don't know if actually in the video they do that, because I haven't been watching the UI the whole time. But it seems like there's probably a second page to the MFD then, by the looks of that, with the fact that you can press Y. Obviously it's this is where the speed's going to be. It's obviously in kilometers an hour. I'll probably be using it in miles though. This part here with the lap time on, it's pretty similar to last year, I suppose. They've just shrunk it a little bit, and it looks like they've got the new font. If you didn't know, MotoGP have got a new font for this year. And you can see that also up here with the current lap time, which again the UI is pretty similar because, well, they haven't changed a massive amount, I suppose, in real life. So I suppose they're going to keep it quite similar. But they have put the new font in, so it's not the grotesque anymore what it was before. It's now the new version. MotoGP logo in the top left, or sort of as normal with your lap counter. That seems to be, again, obviously they've updated it to the new font. But other than that, I think it might be slightly more transparent maybe, but it's pretty similar to last year. So there's also the track map, which has changed a bit because there's seems to be sort of no outline. It's just the we can maybe see a faint outline of where the circle is, but it seems sort of transparent in the background. So it's just got the track map. So we'll carry on playing the video. So it seems to upload the times literally live as you set them, which is quite interesting. And oh, actually, hang on, just seen something on the Apex, but I'll pause it here so you can have a look. Seems like this rider, maybe, who's playing the game, is using the racing line assist, and it seems it's no longer a line, and it's perhaps just telling you where to accelerate, where to hit on the apex, which is interesting. I would say if I was using the racing line, which I don't, but if I needed it, I would say that's probably less useful to me. I would find that probably maybe a bit more difficult to follow. Not sure really. I mean, I just sort of find my own lines around the circuit. I don't have the racing line on, but let me know if you use racing line. Do you like this sort of new change? So instead of it being a line, it's just little points around the corner to hit, and it looks like there's a braking zone up there as well. Oh, the rear stepping out. Oh, so I think they've probably got it on the standard physics rather than the is it called normal physics now actually? But the slide in the rear end. So down the straight then, there's obviously another braking marker. They seem to have changed the rider position, so obviously if you look, Valentino seems to be pretty hunched over the bike compared to last year's sort of a bit more up straight. So they've actually changed the animations. The camera seems to zoom in as well when you brake or back off. You can see the camera sort of zooming in and out slightly, only a little bit, but it seems to be getting a bit close to the bike. He's not quite leading off, as much as Valentino would, I think, through this section, but that's just, I suppose that's going to be, a little bit inaccurate. It's fine. Sound-wise, and obviously I'm talking over it, but it sounds virtually the same as last year. Maybe a little less mechanic, well, a little bit less like electronically, a bit more raw, maybe would be the way to describe it, but it's very, very similar. looking at the lap times, the personal record 1:46.0. Now, judging by the riding in the video, it's not too bad actually. I've seen a lot worse, so I think the lap times are going to look quite similar because a 46.0, you know, with a although off throttle for this long. So actually, I think the lap times look like they're probably going to be slightly faster then. Because well, I know me personally, I'm pretty bad at Mugello, but I can do sort of 45s, and that was a 1:46.0 here that he's just set. So in terms of the lap times, I think they might be a touch quicker this year again. So perhaps that means we can sort of push the brakes a little bit more, but you can't really read too much into it when when it's someone else playing, but obviously they've got some assists on and things like that, so you can't obviously get a full grasp. And I know that probably some people have picked out more than I have in terms of the physics from watching someone else, but really you can see the front end seems to maybe be a tad more stable. I'm not sure whether that's just because of the physics setting they're using. So obviously you can't read too much into the physics on that aspect, because I think it's quite clear that it's probably using not pro physics or the hardest physics level. So there's probably a little bit of play in that in terms of the front end is more stable, it's harder to crash. The rear end probably doesn't step out as much because I think it was out of San Donato. He had a massive slide, I think it was, and it wasn't out of San Donato because he's picked the bike up quite nicely there. It might have been out of Poggio Secco. So he flicks the bike over through Poggio Secco. Yeah, that was a quite big slide there, so it does seem that maybe it's a bit easier. Something I actually completely neglected to mention out the UI here, I was describing obviously how the tyre is split up differently. It doesn't actually have the actual temperature on it anymore. Maybe that's what this Y function here does. Perhaps it toggles between, you can see which parts of your tyre are hot, and maybe it tells you the actual degrees of the tyre as well, which would be quite an interesting feature. I mean, it seems like there's definitely going to be a lot more of a tactical element, because this year, obviously, the tyre heating and the tyre wear did bring a bit more of a tactical element into it. So you actually have to think about your tyre wear choice, because otherwise, before on MotoGP 18, it was just soft. You went soft every race because the tyres weren't that less. They still had a lot of grip when they were gone, and it was just so much faster to go soft. Everyone was. Oh, I think some people used to use hards, but a lot of people just use soft because it's lasted the whole race virtually. So it was I mean, I think we used to moan, the tyre wear I don't get tyre wear. Well, we didn't know tyre wear until we realised that your tyres can feel dead, despite being brand new because of the heat. But it was a good feature. Definitely added some more tactics, like I said, and along with its power and the fuel consumption, this could be very interesting. So maybe at the start of the race you want to save some more fuel, and towards the end you want to put the power up a little bit if you're in a battle with someone. A bit like the Formula 1 games, you played those, obviously you can play with the fuel setting and the ERS as well, which wow, that goes way over my head really with playing with the ERS settings. I just sort of leave it on medium most of the time. But yeah, obviously a lot of the pro players, they change like 15 times a lap or something like that with the... I hope it doesn't get to that point because that would be a bit ridiculous, but in terms of the power, obviously you can turn it down through the corners maybe and turn it up on the straights. It's definitely going to be something worth playing with. So I'm guessing that it's probably going to have 4 settings just like the rest of them, but this user here is using power 2 in this time trial session. I know it seems like I'm sort of just stating the obvious here, but in terms of that's kind of what I've got to do with the breakdown. So let's have a look at the graphics now anyway. We've talked about the UI, we've talked about the physics a little bit, we've talked maybe about some of the new features. So let's have a look at the graphics. Graphically, it looks a bit better. So, lighting-wise, I think I mentioned lighting in the previous video that I did, sort of looking at the trailer with some of the footage. The lighting looks much more realistic than previously, which is nice, reflection-wise, things like that. So, it does seem much more lifelike, I must say. It looks like the texturing has improved slightly as well, maybe with the N. You might not know what that means, but bump map file, basically, it just sort of simulates some of the little grooves. So like a little groove on Rossi's leathers here would be done by like the bump map file. It seems like perhaps they're a bit more detailed. It's a little bit of an observation I've made there. But like I said, obviously the sound is pretty similar. I've linked it in the description. I know I've said that already, but I've linked it in the description so you can hear it without me talking over it. If you want to listen to the sound. But yeah, the lighting looks a bit better. The rider positioning is obviously a bit different. He looks a bit more hunched over. I mean, it kind of looks a little bit like maybe he's a little less confident with the bike than they are in MotoGP 19. The rider, sort of the kind of, I get that. He looks a bit more like hunched. Obviously, Valentino is quite hunched up here. But I think that's probably about it, really. I've not got a lot more to say. Sort of stuff like the background, the sky, they're probably the same as MotoGP 19. It's just more the lighting is the main thing I noticed, and obviously I said a thing about the bump map file as well. So I think that is where I'll end it off. So I hope you have enjoyed this one. If you are new to my channel and you haven't seen any of my videos before, I do just basically MotoGP videos, do mod videos. I did do career mode, but I kind of stopped doing that. I might do league racing next year. I'm not sure. I've not decided if I'm actually bothered doing any league racing next year. But I might do. But just loads of different sort of MotoGP videos, doing random things, talking about the game, you're playing the game. So if you're into the MotoGP game, which I'm guessing you probably are, if you're looking at the first gameplay, or if you've never checked out a MotoGP game before, feel free to subscribe, because I will be trying to get as many videos as I can out. More frequently than normal, because I've not been great with my upload schedule lately, so I do apologise for that. But enough rambling. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I shall see you in the next one.